Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Frost and Sullivan Movers and Shakers interview. Today, we have here the team from Thread Research. Let me just introduce myself first. I'm Amol Zadar. I work with the Healthcare and Life Sciences team here at Frost and Sullivan. We, as a company, we call ourselves the Growth Pipeline Company. And what do I mean by that is we power our clients to a future shaped by growth. We empower the CEOs and the CEO's growth team with a continuous and rigorous platform of growth opportunities, ensuring long-term success. To achieve positive outcomes, our team leverages over 60 years of experience, coaching organizations of all types and sizes across 6 continents, along with a proven best practices and a well-known and a knowledgeable team of analysts and experts in-house. With that, let me welcome John Reitz from Thread Research. Hi, John. How are you doing?
Hey, Mo. Good. Thanks. Doing really well. Thanks for having me. So, everybody, I'm John Reitz. I'm CEO and co-founder of Thread. And very simply put, what Thread does is we are a technology company with supporting services and some unique solutions. And we help our customers, so pharma and CROs, to conduct decentralized studies. In doing that, what's really important to us as part of our mission is called 1-530. And the 1 in our mission stands for what we're doing. We're building one comprehensive platform for every stakeholder in research to modernize how research is conducted by leveraging decentralized trial models. The 5 is that we're working to make studies 5 times more inclusive. And the 30 is that while we do that, we're obviously making a push to make studies 30% or more efficient. And so, again, I appreciate you having this session with us and inviting us. And I'm all excited to not just answer some questions, but actually to ask you some questions so we can actually have a conversation about what you uncovered in the report. So thanks.
Sure. No, it's an exciting time also, as you mentioned, to discuss with you on this platform and also to answer some of your questions.
Good.
Let me talk about the award as first. I mean, what does the award mean and some of the significance and about the award to Thread Research as well here. So Frost and Sullivan's global team, of these growth pipeline experts, we continuously identify and evaluate, as I mentioned, the growth opportunities. So look at multiple industries as such and across the regions. And as a part of this ongoing effort, we look at companies that are constantly developing, new strategies, some visionary sort of understanding of the future, novel products, and thus, effectively addressing the new challenges and opportunities, just like what Thread has been doing here. So this approach sort of involves like strategic deliberation around the best practices and the development of core analytics across the entire value chain of, let's say, specific products or services. In our context here, as you mentioned, related to clinical development, as well as the broader healthcare community as such. So against this backdrop of the analytics and independently evaluated criteria, Frost and Sullivan recognizes the companies for its valuable achievement. And we are pleased to announce Thread Research as this year's recipient of the North America Customer Value Leadership Award within the decentralized clinical trial industry. So I think congratulations to you and your team for that.
Thanks, Well, yeah, we're really excited because our team works day in and day out to make this mission come to bear, and they do it by leading. Some things we lead that are, super innovative. Some things we lead are steps in the right direction, and it's that combination of things that really matter. And listen, when we win an award and that we don't know is coming, and we get announced this way, it's really impactful and important to us because it means something that the industry and customers are saying it, not us pontificating what it is. So we really appreciate that. I would love, though, Amol, if you could give me a couple of nuggets. What are some of the key reasons why Thread was chosen for the award? Maybe just give me a couple. That would be really helpful.
Okay. Yeah, no, sure. Definitely. I mean, if I look at the industry as such, the transition from the traditional trials as we're moving towards decentralized, prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was still sort of a nascent stage. And then after the onset, it highlighted the importance of being, patient-centric decentralized trials. And it was important to overcome all of these existing industry challenges by enhancing the patient recruitment and engagement, simplifying the data collection, increasing the monitoring accuracy, accelerating the study completion, more importantly, also reducing the cost and considerably elevating the clinical trial delivery. Of course, the involvement of the patients and accessibility was also important, as also with the sites getting more sort of involved and accelerated. And that's where things have been moving. Now, this acceleration witnessed during this period also, along with some recent initiatives conducted by the Decentralized Trials and Research Alliance, have increased awareness of the DCTs globally and catapulted their adoption, especially in North America. We've seen that across regions, but North America has been doing pretty well and picking up on this. And in order to ensure the patient safety, most of the sponsors and CROs adopted digital tools. And these were to support like the trial operations. These also included like telemedicine, for example, remote source data verification, and sensor mobile technology-based sort of direct data capture solutions. So there were multiple initiatives. But when we looked at it, like THREAD was sort of a complete sort of a package. It provides a singular, fully configurable and comprehensive DCT technology platform. It allows, the pharma, the CROs, and partners to perform clinical trials virtually, starting from the planning stage, progressing to the design and the launch stage, and ending finally in the closeout. Frost & Sullivan Research, within the space of DCT, provided further validation that THREAD is a proven leader in the industry. The company revolutionizes the clinical trial industry, supporting hundreds of studies with hundreds of thousands of participants available in over 50 countries, and that's phenomenal. So I hope that was
no, it's helpful. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and it's always good to hear that individuals in the industry recognize that's what's important. Those are some of the key things. If you kind of dig into that a little bit more, obviously there's a lot of discussion about DCT. Right? There's a lot of different companies that we've engaged with, as we looked at depth and breadth of things have changed. But what are some of the things that make us stand out? Like, again, you guys are experts, you're researchers, you were looking at every company and the markets, talk about all those different customers. What are kind of the nuggets to you all that stood out to say, these are some things that really kind of shined, or customers really mention these things about THREAD? I'd love to learn a little more about that.
Sure. As we conducted, our research and, through all of our understanding and gathering of data. So I will point out some of these things, which, we as Frost & Sullivan also, which we heard talking to some of the, outside people. So THREAD provides sort of a unique collaborative platform and an additional service suite, from its highly trained experts for CRO and the sponsors. The company offers training, technical support, and a launch kit, anticipating the study needs, but also like the launch details and step-by-step guidance throughout the study. It also provides support for services related to data audit, management, and archival over long periods of like longitudinal. Along with that, safety and security of data transference, that is something as well, which is provided. And multilingual training content for handheld devices and endpoints, belonging to participants. That is crucial. Again, having that, for people from sort of different sort of backgrounds representing them and making them capable. So, unlike the competition, THREAD does not offer sort of these pre-recorded sort of demonstrations or demos on its platform. It opens a live platform and demonstrates its solutions depth and complexity, proving its capability as a clinical trial system rather than just another telehealth feature. I think that's pretty impressive. Further on, I can add that THREAD focuses efforts helping the customers adapt DCTs. The launch kit process has I think now been refined over hundreds of studies completed and has become a sort of a valuable sort of asset that really supports the customers through the process of translating their protocols into the THREAD's platform, which is very helpful to them. Another factor is THREAD research heavy focus on creating a unified experience for the stakeholders. Its partner ecosystem comprises sort of selective vendors across the globe, recruitment firms, sensor and technology providers, and home healthcare providers to ensure that the patient and site experience is really strong. And as John, as you elucidated, I mean, being 5x more inclusive, I mean, that's phenomenal. Supporting, more inclusive and diverse studies using the decentralized designs and approaches is something which is, again, which we observed was with Thread. I can go speaking more, and I have a couple of more points. So, Thread's platform is quite unique in the TCD space because it is built off, the configurable technology, as opposed to, this custom sort of code, which some of the competitors or most of them used. And this provides a strong position to scale effectively and maintain quality, even while seeing such, unprecedented demand, as there's a lot of demand coming up. Whereas the other participants within the sector, I would call it, like operate off primarily custom code basis, and are bound to struggle more to meet, as the scalability and the demand. So overall, like Thread's platform reduces the inefficiencies by significant, 30% out of the research through faster startup, automation, and the elimination of costs, such as the SDV. In addition, I can sum up like, Frost and Sullivan's research on Thread also clarified the cultural pillars of being stakeholder-centric, measured, having a fresh approach, authentic, inclusive, and a quality focus in every aspect. So from the team to their customers and across the research sites and the patients, the company serves everyone. So I think these are some of all of the points which I could say were like differentiators or some of the strong points which, put Thread research apart from the other participants. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. No, and it's good to hear because we haven't arrived. We're working really hard, right, to make the company better and more mature, and because we're scaling this thing, more than 50 countries. It's a lot of hard work, and I think the team does a phenomenal job. But it was really, when you made that comment, it's really nice to hear that customers, other companies recognize in an innovative environment where you're doing kind of foot in today, foot in tomorrow as you move the needle forward, that people recognize and called out, hey, I like that they were being measured, like that they were being authentic, I like they were being quality focused. Those things really matter. And that's our team gets all the credit there because that's what the Thread team's doing every day. So thank you. That's really helpful, really refreshing to hear too. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. So I have a question for you now.
Yeah.
So given the unpredictability, like COVID-19 and like in 2020, what we saw, so how have things changed for Thread and how has it adjusted through that?
Sure. It's a good question. It's a big one. Maybe to condense it, the answer, what I would say is, there was a big shift for DCTs pre-pandemic, right? There were a lot of decentralized studies we were up to. They were all very in much of the planning phase. They were phase 2, 3Bs, 4, some initial phase 3s that were getting off the ground, all very exciting things. When the pandemic hit, what really opened up is a lot of active studies that required us to come in and build resilience models. Right? So we would have to come in and say, hey, in Germany and Italy, customers would come in and say, I'm going to miss visits in 2 months unless I get a solution out. We had some customers that I'm going to miss visits in 7 days if I don't get a solution in. And so what I would say is what changed is we were already working, we were already spending, years. We were at this for 3.5 years, 4 years before the pandemic doing decentralized studies. But this required us to think differently about how we operationalize key elements or key features of DCT. So we actually built specific offerings like Express and others to come out to customers and say, hey, we can actually launch this. We launched some studies 3 days, including IRB and EC submission, 5 days, 7 days, some tremendous effort that frankly, no one should have to go through again because it's tremendous pressure on both our customers and CROs and us. But what happened is we were able to pull it off for the better and to support sites and participants to continue clinical trials during that time. So what I would tell you that really what we learned during the pandemic is that our ability to be configurable and nimble really got put to the test. And when we did that with a mindset of remember why we're doing this, that mission, and to make this resilience and a better experience to the patient site and help them to give data where in the pandemic, they can't do it otherwise. That was the North Star for us. So pulling that off, I think, was really a big feat. And I really would applaud and thank our customers for being a part of that, knowing that it stretched everybody. It was not doing things in 4 days and 6 days is,
Oh,
regardless of where you're at, it's hard. But what I would tell you shifted though in that is during that period of time, we still had customers coming to scale up and do their next DCT. So you have studies that were active that were getting DCT solutions. You had studies that were in planning that we were designing in a decentralized trial effort. So you had both of those happening in parallel. What really shifted for us though is the change was before the pandemic, we spent a lot more time educating and explaining the why, right? So here's why you do a DCT. Here's the benefits you get. Here's the risks that you have to think about going in. Through the pandemic and at the point we are now, the question completely shifted to, okay, I believe you, Thread. I believe the why. Tell me how. And so this how became this very deep operational discussion, which is better for us because as we've done so many of these, hundreds of them globally, we've really learned how, not everything, we've learned a considerable amount and applied a lot of lessons learned across all these therapeutic areas to the mix. So what it really taught us, and really what I would say adjusted, is that shift to a different type of education and us providing a different level of support for design and adoption and the provisioning and the 24/7, 365 tech support being in-house. Like those things really became not just important, they became critical in the phase that we moved to. So I'll tell you that's what's happened. And what I'm excited about is the amount of pharma and CRO customers we have that have gotten to the point now where the first 1 to 3 DCTs are done or almost done. And they've now shifted to these enterprise models where we're now on study 10, 12, 30, 100, right? Where you're starting to see that pivotal mix. And we have to be clear that the unpredictability of COVID-19 and the ability to address it actually helped and is helping with these early adoption efforts we're starting to see as we start to standardize DCT in the industry.
excellent. No, I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah, look, same question to you though. This is what you do for a living, right? It's what your whole team does. They look at not just where the industry is today and evaluate companies, which again, thank you. We're thrilled to be a part of that and get the award. But then you also look at, hey, visionary wise, which is in your mission statement, what's the next 18 to 24 months look like? So what is Russ Sullivan's perspective or thought process on DCT in the next 18 months to 2 years?
Sure, no, that's an excellent question. As you pointed out, that's something we specialize in, looking at the growth opportunities and, having a vision towards the future. So to your question, the industry has finally moved and is considering DCT, as just an innovation driver to engaging, with DCT as a critical approach to adapt at scale. Now, the value of DCT has been sort of widely talked about. But now the players within this, the DCT ecosystem have to demonstrate that it is indeed the future, that DCT makes study more inclusive, more cost-effective, and more operationally efficient. Over the next year or two, like Frost & Sullivan expects DCT technologies would take a more central role in the overall sort of the technical architecture for the clinical trials. It's not just going to be, running the sort of e-consent, telehealth, and eCOA through the platform. Sensors and variables, randomization and drug distribution, recruitment, reimbursement, drug adherence activities. So are all going to have to, run through the platforms. And to simplify and to optimize the patient and site experience is going to be crucial. So there are a lot of aspects to that. Apart from that, I would say that we can expect to see the evolving clinical trial models, the entry of sort of non-traditional players offering technology solutions that allow these interoperability and continuous engagement to optimize, as I mentioned, initially, like the cost and improving accessibility, upgrading the standard. And centralized clinical trial model and, upgrading from that, Further on, I would say like digital markers. I mean, that's also becoming pretty sort of important and, it's having an important role now, I would say, in capturing high quality data from patients in the natural settings or setups. What we call is the real world evidence, and it's becoming crucially important from every aspect for the pharmas and CROs, and also, of course, to the greater stakeholders and to the authorities. And this comes from devices. In order to expedite the trial operations and efficiency of clinical trial development programs, it will also see an uptake. So the digital markers, that is also going to see an uptake. Thread Research, has focused on developing their analytics platform and on partnerships to support the operational performance benchmarking to maximize transparency. And I think so that's where we see the future, and Thread Research is already there. I mean, it's arrived, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, no, it's all my crystal ball doesn't work that well, and I feel like half of the predictions we can make are right or wrong, but the idea is directionally, right? It's where does this go? And I too agree that the market has shifted this way. The questions change, technology is available. I mean, everybody has a better smartphone camera, and that's not just a U.S. discussion; it's a global discussion, right? Where internet access, everything improved in the last 2 years significantly because it was required to. That's actually a benefit that comes down to clinical trials through DCT. But I do agree that when you look at the future of how things are done, that's the shift, right? Sure. And things like removing SDV, things some of these solutions that we've been working on around real world evidence. Not just I collect real world evidence data. What are the actual 7 use cases you make work to improve efficiency, to remove costs, to make it easier for sites to participate? I think what we see in the next 18 to 24 is depth. It's just further depth, right? It's further depth in sort of each of these solutions to remove barriers, remove workload, and scale up what's happening in DCT. So no, I think that's phenomenal. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it.
Sure. Okay. Maybe another question for you as well, John. So, that now that you've been recognized with the award, so what's next in line for Thread?
What's next?
Yeah.
Let me be just crystal clear. What's next is always what's in front of us, which is our first mention here is that we are here to deliver for our customers, right? It's our job and our mission to deliver, to make DCTs the normal model for studies, but to deliver along the way, right? We have customers that are doing fully decentralized studies. We have a large array of customers doing hybrid decentralized studies. And we have some that are just now learning and early into it. So they're using combinations of eConsent, DCOA, and sensors and telehealth and different models. But the reality is those customers need us to be innovative. They need us to lead. They need us to help them. They need us to deliver. And so our focus is on delivery. We have a lot of work to do. And as we look at the amount of customers that are coming in, but also the amount of customers that are moving, like we said, to this enterprise adoption model, that presents new opportunities and new focus and new effort that needs to be accomplished. So I think first and foremost, it's around delivery. The second thing is, as we look at what's next, we've been continuing to grow the company. We've been significantly funded, backed by 2 of the largest private equity firms in the space, Water Street and JLL, and been able to continue to scale up and invest and do all those things the right way and in the right order. And so we continue to bring in additional talent that wants to be a part of changing clinical trials, wants to be a part of the mission. It's been exciting to see that growth, but also doing it in a way that's in advance of the work we need to do, right? So we're always helping our customers and delivery and quality focus to be first and foremost. But, the other things I'd say that we're up to are, we got some pretty big press releases coming up that I'd encourage people to keep an eye on. And I would also encourage people just to watch what we're doing closely. There's some things that we're up to that I think, in our model of doing and then talking, not talking and then doing, what we do is we do the work, we put it to the test. And when we see value and we see it works, we press release and we make that clear to everybody. This is a model we've invested in and we've done it to ourselves and we're moving it forward. It's not just a marketing release. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is showing people that we're moving the needle and leading, which is why I'm happy about this award, because leading is key in the title, but you lead by doing. Right. And that's what we're trying to do, is lead by doing, not because we're perfect, not because we've arrived, because we're putting in the work, we're optimizing the process. We got the talent, the effort, and the platform to do it. So I would say that's really where our next steps are. We've got a lot of work to do, but really excited about the future, really excited about where biopharma and CROs are focusing in on, where they're putting their work in DCT next. It is really a great and unique time in our industry to focus on DCT.
Excellent. Very glad to hear about that. So, with that, I would like to, again, thank you very much, John, for being here. And then again, congratulations to the Thread team on the 2021, Customer Value Leadership Award in the decentralized clinical trial industry, North America. And as you mentioned, there's a lot to do, and we wish you the best of luck. And look forward to, some of the new things coming up. And of course, staying in touch with you.
Well, it's
Thank you
been
very much.
well, thank you. Thank you, the Frost and Sullivan team, for the award. The Thread team's worked really hard for it. And we just appreciate the classification and the effort it comes when it comes from Frost and Sullivan. That means a lot to us. And it's been great to meet you when you reached out with the award to kind of connect there. So that makes us equally happy. So again, thanks for your work. Thanks for recognizing the team. They're a great team and they have a lot to be proud of. And we just really thank our customers and other people who mentioned us to get the award in the data. So thank you so much. And good to talk to you today. Well, thanks for your time.
Sure. Thank you very much, and bye.